Hi everyone, I'm live. It was quite a challenge, I must say, to wake up so early because last night I went to bed very late, but you know, a promise is a promise, so I decided to stream anyway. It's not that early at you. Where are you watching me from, right? So we're not in the equal conditions. What time is it at your place? Probably I should say good night or good evening or maybe good afternoon. Well, on the free day, well, the only free day of the Russian Superfinal that just ended in Moscow, I streamed also for an hour, and I told you about the first 6 rounds that I played in Moscow. And now I'm gonna tell you, I cannot say really in details, but a little bit about the last 5 rounds that I played in total in the Russian Superfinal. In the Russian Superfinal, I played 11 rounds. Not as everyone else, because we had one positive case and one participant did not finish the tournament in the men's part. But for women, all 12 started, all 12 finished, which is already great. And well, it was a very hard tournament, but actually all the Russian Superfinals are quite hard for me for some reason. For the last in 2016 I won my second title, and then 17 I didn't play, 18 and 19 I didn't win any medals, and actually was never close. Yes, well, Queen G6 is a nice move by Daniel Dubov, but since it's my stream, I'm gonna show you my games. Unfortunately, I didn't have such brilliancy on the board, but nevertheless, I think there were some interesting and useful moments that I can highlight for you. So, after 5 rounds, after a very tough start, I was on the 50% score. And in round 6, one of the key encounters of my tournament was the game against Valentina Gunina. Usually I have crazy games with Valentina. Well, our styles somehow work fireworks when we play together. And this time it was no exception. She opted for the Catalan opening, and I played the same line that I already applied in this tournament, used in this tournament, this pawn move a6. The idea is simple, just to protect, to prepare for protecting my extra pawn, the sacrificed pawn. White sacrificed this pawn, and I'm getting ready to defend it. Maybe not a straight way, not immediately, because of this diagonal and the possibility to play a4, but soon. So I played knight c6. Yeah, free pawns are great, but it's not that free, right, in the Catalan, because white sacrifices it with the reason, and this reason being opening up this bishop and getting more power in the center, kind of distracting the d pawn in order to get some advantages. And here Valentina prepared a very rare line. Actually, I've never seen this move. Usually white plays here knight c3 or e3, or one game in the men's Russian Superfinal, in the Open, if you wish, a Russian Superfinal continued with bishop g5. Gaganov Dubov, I believe that was the game. Also, some players play knight b to d2. I've played several games against this move, but queen to c2 I've never actually met in my life, although I've been playing this line for quite a long now, I must say. So queen c2, Valentina played quite fast, and I was on my own. Not the best situation in modern chess that one can imagine. Quite early, move 7 in a very sharp position, and some kind of a crossroads what to do here. White sacrifices this d4 pawn, but actually I was afraid to take it because it was clearly a part of my opponent's preparation. Probably it's possible to take, but the problem is that the queen goes out here and rook d1 is possible. I haven't analyzed it in details. Maybe, I mean, with the help of the computer, it will be proven that this pawn can be taken, but I didn't feel like trying it in this particular game, trying this line. So I decided to play b5 and protect the pawn, right, since I already played a6. So after saying A, I said B. Knight e5 followed. Of course, you need to foresee this move, because the spin otherwise can be very unpleasant. There are some lines where black sacrifices the exchange like this. But in this particular case, I played knight b4, using the fact that white's queen developed to c2, and it gets under my knight's attack. And, well, queen d2 followed. Knight f to d5. That was not the best move. I should have probably played knight b to d5, but then some kind of Catalan position would appear where white did sacrifice the pawn, but opened up some lines and got some compensation. But since already most likely knight b to d5 had been analyzed by Valentina, I decided not to check her opening preparation. I played knight f to d5, but that's not the best choice, since here Valia could have just taken the pawn and then take on b4 and get a better position, since she soon will get back the sacrificed pawn, and you see that my pawn structure are kind of ruined on the queen side. And well, that was the way to continue for white. But Valentina often chooses her own ways, and she played knight to g4, and here again I had a better option. I could have played knight to b6 with the idea to sacrifice this exchange. But sometimes in the Catalan positions, or in the position where we have this bishop in the fine shattered bishop, this bishop is worth much more than a rook, and we can see that after this bishop is gone, weak white squares around the white king, and I'm threatening to play knight f3, and I want to play bishop b7, queen d5, and yes, checkmate is coming soon. So knight to b6 was a much stronger move. Somehow I just didn't believe in my position here. I mean, I saw this line and I calculated for quite a while this continuation, but I don't know, visually the king is in the center, somehow the pawns are on f6, e6. I don't know, I could not really feel that this position is much better for me during the game. And I played knight d to e7, e5, f5 followed, and here instead of just retreating the knight and continuing the game, I wanted to play bishop b7 or rook b8, I was thinking, but anyway, white protects the pawn on d4, and the position is very tense, very unclear. I don't know really who is better here. I thought that the position is about equal. Maybe. But as I said, Valentina often opts for very unexpected moves and continuations, and this case was no exception, since she played knight to f6 check. She decided to sacrifice the piece. Well, I mean, I should accept this sacrifice, otherwise she will just play d5 and my position will collapse. So I took the knight, I played knight to d5, and she played bishop g5, queen to g5. Yes, and here we're at the crossroads, very difficult, very complicated position. And of course nowadays spectators, when they use computer evaluation towards the games, and computers, they don't really, I mean, quite feel the complexity of the position often, since well, computer here, it shows that the evaluation of -2 or -3 for black, but during practical game it's so hard to play and not so easy to defend. The strongest move, it seems, here was a brave continuation, knight to d4, but somehow I didn't like that I'm opening up the g file and all those complex lines after knight c3. Gets in mind. So in the game I played queen to d7, bishop takes d5, and instead of taking on d5 here, I played bishop b7. Why I didn't play queen to d5? Well, because in this position it seems that I have a very strong move. Here I probably just have to take, but if she doesn't give check, if she plays knight c3, I retreat, no. Then I think, yes, here somehow I got scared of this d5 continuation, and it's not so easy to protect. And it seems that black has to play knight e5, or it's one of the strongest moves, and during the game I didn't even consider it. And after knight d4, I mean, this open file, well, I mean, I didn't like this line. It's very hard to calculate, and that's why I played bishop b7, since I decided that white is obliged in some way to play queen h5, but then after queen f7 we get into an endgame. Why not to take on e6? When? At what point? Why not to take on e6? I don't know why. and I don't know when. But yes, anyway, I decided to get closer to an end game. But here I spent a lot of time, since I didn't know what to do here anymore. Somehow I didn't. Well, I saw bishop to f3, but I overestimated my position when I played bishop b7. I thought that I was going to be much better here, and in fact I'm not. I mean, that's I'm not better. It's about equal, but it was not clear for me how to develop these two guys, since if Valentina plays rook d1, and I think it was the strongest move here, in case I play bishop d6, bishop h6 follows, with the idea just to push the pawn at some point. As we know, the closer it gets to the opposite side of the board, the more dangerous it becomes. And so I didn't like this position at all. Well, in fact, it's not that bad. I should play knight a5, heading to this weak square. And again, this position is still very complex, but about equal. And the game could have ended in all three results. But instead, Valentina played very fast here, and I think made a big blunder. A mistake, yes, not really a blunder, but somehow after this move, bishop e3, the game started going only in one direction, getting me closer to the victory. Because this move allows me to play bishop d6, and I play bishop d6, not only developing the bishop, not only preparing rook f8 at some point, attacking the f6 pawn, but also preparing a very strong f4 move, with the idea to open up the king. And the king is not very safe here, although we already exchanged the queens. Rook to d1, she played, f4, I continued. Again, if she just retreats the bishop, the problem is that I will win this pawn by playing rook f8, and on f7 I will play knight d8, attack the pawn and win it. But after bishop takes f4, thank you for the subscription, Skunk Works. After f4, you see, funny looking pawns she has, and of course it's not good for white's position, not good at all. And I start just attacking them and take them step by step. So my first step is rook a to f8. This one is hanging. f7 doesn't really help that much, since I can always play knight d8 and then take on f7. Valentina tried to finish development finally and prepare for d5 breakthrough, but again, this d5 doesn't. It's not as strong as it looks, because okay, I just simply go to a5. I open up my bishop, and I'm prepared. I am ready to take the second pawn. And here, yes, my king goes to e6. Very important thing is that the knight, it's not only heading to b3, which is weak, as I already mentioned, but it also protects my bishop. And after knight c5 check that followed king f6, my bishop is protected. I can always take it back. Very important, very important detail. And she played rook d7. Well, and I'm just nearly to winning. It seems that the position is so complex and unclear, but in fact, even though I was very low on time at that time. It's move number 33. We have 7 moves till time control, and I had about 5 minutes. I managed to find all the good moves. Maybe not the best ones, but very good ones. Here I'm quite proud of the move I made. Because again, what would you do, for example? What would you do here if you were black? What move would you choose? And I'm sure the moves that I made helped me tremendously in winning the game. Sometimes even one move made in the right moment is just winning the game. It's nothing special. It's not a complete no, it's not a threat. It's not a rook g5. Why not rook g5? Because if you play a rook g5, okay, that's natural, you wanna attack, but that would have been a serious, not blunder, but quite a serious mistake, because white will play rook f7 and then play f4, and something starting, as you can see, something that you're not capable to control. So no, rook g5 is a mistake. And what other moves would you propose? Jan, hello, long time no see. What other moves would you consider playing with black here? And this situation, I think, shows how important sometimes is to not only calculate lines, but also to look carefully at the position of your pieces. And when you look at this position, in this sense, what piece is immediately, you can see that this piece is not placed well. And we need to care about our own pieces, and we need to try to put them into best possible positions. So what is not very well placed for the moment, not taking part into the action? I mean, the rooks on h4 and g8, and the bishop on g2, and even the king on f6, they're playing. They're participating in this battle, but who is forgotten on the edge of the board? Yes, the knight on a5, knight on the rim is dim, right? So we shall not forget about our pieces. We shall not neglect them. And I realized it and played knight to b3. Actually, it's a good timing. And after rook f7, unfortunately, I got scared to play king g5, which wins on the spot. Somehow, I don't know why. I thought that rook g1 will be coming, and I didn't see how to play here. It's not that obvious, I think. Well, at least it was not that obvious to me, because king takes h5 doesn't work because of rook h7 and then rook takes g2, and I just need simply get my king to h6, and after knight takes b3 I can just take on b3, and somehow the bishop is trapped. Well, it cannot go to f3 because I will just take. And well, yes, I could have won a piece here immediately. A rook h5. Again, at what point? Instead of knight takes b3? Oh, instead of knight b3? No, instead of knight b3. I mean, rook e8 is a good move, but I prefer knight to b3. I think it's a very it's one of the best moves here, because, as I said, it brings one more piece into the action. And okay, even though I played king to e5, my position is close to winning here. Okay, we continued. I managed not to get into any traps. For example, here, king f5 would have been a huge blunder because of rook e5 checkmate. Yes, that happens. The checkmate happens even in the center of the board sometimes. But yes, I managed to survive those checks and just went and hit my king on a5. Okay, and won this game. And it was a nice feeling to get finally into a plus score after starting the tournament with -2. I started this tournament with half a point out of 3. Yes, checkmates can happen anywhere, that's true. So I started this tournament very, very poorly. And of course, getting back and winning 3 games, it was nice. It was nice. And the 8th round. The 8th round, I played. Yes, the 8th round. I played against Olga Giria. I didn't analyze this game in details yet. And we reached a very interesting endgame after. And well, I have an extra pawn. I'm playing white, and I'm not sure about the evaluation of this position. I'm not sure whether it's black is capable of holding this endgame or white is winning. Okay, during the game I thought that I have very good chances because, as we know, 4 pawns against 3 on one side usually, is a draw. But first of all, we have this 2 pawns, extra pawns on the side, which is definitely a plus for white. And it's my pawns. I have a passed pawn here on the d file, which again I consider it as a good sign in the endgames that appeared. Here I hesitated for quite a long time because I could have exchanged. The pawn. The h5 pawn to a4 pawn. I could have played rook c5, attacking the pawn on h5. She has to take, because if she doesn't take, if she protects the pawn, then I will win the pawn on a6. That's actually one moment where this pawn, the presence of the a pawns is a good thing for white in this endgame. So after rook takes c5, black has to take. I take on h5, and we get to a very interesting rook endgame where she has a passed pawn, but I have 4 pawns against 2 on the one wing. And who knows? The evaluation of this position, who knows? I don't know. I didn't know, and I don't know yet because I haven't had time to analyze it. And games you really need to analyze very deep and precise in order to be able to tell the evaluation. But it would. It looks interesting. Then black will push her pawns, I will push my pawns. It's very complicated, but interesting. But somehow during the game I decided to opt for another plan, which was just push my passed pawns as far as I can. And that's why I pushed the pawns forward. And I was very happy when she allowed me to break through, to get ready for my king's maneuver forward. Again, I pushed them. That's I think one of the, well, somehow she didn't play king to d7. I thought that it's much more important to play king to d7, and I was right. I sacrificed the pawn on a4 again, in order to push my pawns as far as possible, and here I was winning on the spot, and unfortunately I didn't notice it, because if I did, that would have been another tournament and another story. I could have won here immediately, and I didn't notice it. Unfortunately, I could have played d6. Well, that's not a very hard move to see, but somehow after king e6, I didn't calculate further. I didn't calculate, I didn't see the fact that I can play rook c8, and I'm threatening here to play rook e8 and rook e7, then winning the pawn. And if she plays king to d7, I play rook f8. And again, she just cannot protect the pawn. I mean, she can give a few checks. I will just move closer to my pawns. It won't help. Actually, it will improve my position. And yes, that was the easiest win here. And that's unfortunate that I didn't notice it. I played rook to c7, played d6. Well, I thought that my position is very close to winning, so I didn't really look for precise ways. I had a certain plan in mind, and I just I was tired already, and it was second time control, and I didn't really try didn't try to find some other ways, alternatives. And that was here it was a funny moment, because all the commentators said that I made such a strange move, and I played king to f2 here, and black replied with a strange rook a2 check. But then after the game, Olga said, well, you played king f2, threatening to play rook a8 and rook f8, right? And I said, yeah. But the problem again in the modern chess, when you look at this game, you see this move king f2 in red, and you see the evaluation immediately of the position by computer, showing all the zeros. And yes, but during the game I saw that a4 is not working because of rook a8, king d7, rook f8, and again this idea that I'm winning this pawn on f7. But computer is just laughing at us, right? Rook f8 shows that any move is making a draw. Rook d1, the strongest move. Okay, you don't consider such moves usually during your game, just giving away f7 pawn and saying, okay, but there is no way to improve this position. These pawns, they are not moving forward. Well, they are, but the problem is that black will also move the pawn, so I cannot really play d7 because of a3. And if I don't play d7, I cannot play e7, e6 either, because the pawn is hanging. And if I play king e2, black is just waiting and then start pushing her own pawn. Yes, that was the way for black to make a draw immediately, but luckily for me, Olga understood me correctly and understood my threat, and didn't let me play a rook a8. But here finally I went on with my plan, which was actually at the beginning to get the king as far as possible, and it looked scary a bit because black is pushing her pawn, and but luckily for me, I'm in time. I can play king f6, a2, king g7. It was my plan and my intention at first, and well, I didn't really know how to evaluate this position, but it looked to me that I might have a chance because her pawns are quite weak. And for example, if she just takes here, I take on g6, I take with the, yes, that's the key. I take with the rook. That's very important, because if I just take with the king, she will go to e3, and we get to the endgame with the extra h pawn, but it's a drawn endgame. Rook to a6 and rook to takes g6 is very strong. Then I just come to h5 pawn and win it. There is no way black can do anything about it. Well, unfortunately those lines were not as clear to me as they are right now when I'm showing this position, and I already checked with the computer and saw the evaluation. You know, in the game it looks very, very differently. And unfortunately for me, I saw another line which I thought is more forced. And at the beginning, when I was just calculating and thinking about this position during the game, I thought that move e6 is not possible here, because if black's play, but if we continue this line, I thought that black can just win by playing e2 at first. But then I realized that this e2 move is not possible, because I check and then I take the pawn on e2, and my rook is still keeping the pawn under attack, which is very important because it doesn't let black rook to go away. I can just grab the pawn on a2. And I thought that I was winning here. I thought that, well, black seems to oblige to go to g1, take my pawn on g3, but then I play rook a7, and I'm ready to win the pawn on e6. And if she plays rook e3, if she's trying to protect the e6 pawn, well, then I have two passed pawns and they will make the day. Unfortunately for me, Olga was very precise here. She spent all her time that she almost all, yes, a few seconds left she had when she made this move, like 15 seconds, but she calculated till the end. She found the only move, but it does make a draw here. King to g7. Why this move is very important? Because it doesn't let me to cut off her king. And yeah, it seems here I'm winning. There are some nice lines, for example, king g4, then h5, protecting the rook on g6. But yes, again, she played precisely. Here, if I give a check, she just goes with the king to h7. And if rook e6, she goes back. There is no way for me to improve my position. If I play king to g4, plays king f7. And I cannot, protect my pawn. Yes, and yes, unfortunately after rook e7, we repeated the position a few more times, but yes, she made a draw. And since I was so close to winning this endgame, it was a little bit disappointing, but I was already getting tired. It was round number 7. And we're getting to round number 8, where I played a good game against Natalia Pagonina, but it's, we shouldn't, it was an equal position. We jumped straight into an endgame. Natalia was not ready for the line I played. It seemed c5, so she opted for a very solid continuation, which doesn't give any advantage to white. We exchange the queens immediately. Okay, I wasn't probably precise. I shouldn't have exchanged the knights here. I should have just improved my position, probably first, or or place my knight to b3. There are some ideas, because after this exchange, well, anyway, the position is about equal. Maybe visually white is pushing, but there is no really way to improve the position since I'm attacking the c4 pawn all the time, and it's not so hard how white can improve. Okay, during the game I thought she was going to push her central pawns and then try to bring the rook to h3, but again, since my rooks are doubled here and I'm attacking, I'm keeping under control the c4 pawn all the time. There is no really way to improve white's position. Yes, thank you for your words of congratulations. We're getting back to it. We're getting closer to it. And the ways Natalia moved her pawns is not that precise, because here I could have played f5 immediately. Okay, played h6, h5 is probably not a good move again, and f5, and here the position is just a draw. There is very solid structure for both sides, but somehow Natalia was already running low on time, and she let my rook get into on the A file and then on the second rank, and yes, she misplayed. She played rook b to c1, which lets me make a few beautiful moves. Rook to b2, threatening the pawn, and here he should have sacrificed it, because after b5 I managed to find a nice combination. Quite an unexpected move into the most protected square of the board. 3 white pieces protect the d5 square, but this breaks through in the strong square. It happens. d5 anyway. Even though, yes, 3 white pieces are attacking this square, white cannot really take the pawn. If she takes with the bishop, she is losing it because of the spin. If she is taking with the pawn, she loses this rook, many pins, and well, the king cannot capture. And if she played rook 1 to c2, and here another very nice move followed. Another nice move, which I managed to find, although I didn't spot it immediately. I must say I got lucky. I got lucky a little bit, because I didn't spot this winning move immediately. Can you? Can you spot it now? What would you say? What would you do if you were... Yes, I see that I have strong players watching. Immediately, the right continuation is in my chat. Yes, d takes c4. Suddenly the king in the center, but it's in the mating net, and I'm threatening to give a checkmate. No time for white to grab the rook. The only move to protect the king is e4, but then I just take on b5, and I end up with the 2 extra passed pawns, which were quite... The rest was very easy. They just... Queens are in the making. Okay, anyway, I won the game, and we're getting to the key moment, or the moment that could have become crucial, but luckily for me it didn't spoil my tournament completely. Okay, I will not get into details. It's round number 10 against Marina Guseva, she was playing very well in this tournament, and we were sharing, I think, the third place at the moment, on being on +2. The game was very complex, but on move 23 we reach the following position, and it's white to move. Black is threatening to play rook takes c1 and queen takes g5, and well, at first I wanted to play bishop c2, and I like this move very much, again improving the position of my bishop, which is not well placed on a4, looking at the pawn. But unfortunately for me, I didn't calculate, I mean, the line till the very end, this line. Somehow I thought that black is doing okay here, threatening to take on g2 and on e5, and I just didn't manage to see that after maybe not a very simple but logical move, queen f3, retreating the queen under from the attack and protecting the g2 square, I'm simply winning, because black cannot retreat the knight because of queen f7. Checkmate, or on h7. Anyway, yes, unfortunately I didn't play bishop c2 because of rook f to c8. I should have seen that in this position I have queen f3. I missed this possibility for myself. Knight h3 was another very nice move. Another exception, yes, we say don't put your knight on the edge of the board, and then we say you need to put your knight on the edge of the board here, and it's much more important here because of the key square in this position is f4 square right now, and the knight, when it goes to h3, it protects the square. And I have just two extra pawns, and the position is very close to winning. Then if she plays d4, I will protect my central pawn, I will improve the position of my bishop, well, most likely will win the game. I also have a threat to play bishop d2, because all the black squares here are on one diagonal. Yes, but again, that would have been another story, because I made a blunder. And that was very unfortunate. A very unfortunate blunder that almost spoiled my tournament. And I played f4. Protecting the knight on g5, but simply forgetting about the possibility to take on c1 anyway, and play knight takes f4. And there is no way to protect these two guys at the same time. Unfortunately, because of this poorly placed bishop on a4, I cannot take on f4. I mean, I can, but black takes on f4 and two pieces are hanging. And if I play queen g4, black has a very strong h5, and knight e2 is coming. White queen, my queen is protecting two things at the same time. And I lost this game, and I was very disappointed, because I was in such good position on +2, going to +3 it seemed, and getting very good chances for bronze medals and maybe even for silver in some variations, in some outcomes. But yeah, but I just simply gave away this game and the tournament. But I mean, I needed to finish it, and the last round I played against a very talented 16-year-old girl who was playing a great tournament. She was on +3, and I played with black. And okay, very long game, almost 100 moves, but at some we reach this classical position of rook and a bishop against a rook. Nicola, hello, thank you for your subscription, very nice to see you. So it's a very classical endgame, and I'm sure you've heard about it, you've seen it, you analyzed it probably. Maybe you even didn't try to win this famous Philidor position or try to defend playing for the weaker side, which is not so obvious. But my young opponent didn't show any defensive ideas that white has, and we reached quite fast. I managed to push her to her king to the edge of the board. Well, she didn't really try hard not to let me. And here king a3 is a blunder because white loses here after king a3. Should have retreated her king to the first rank, but again I already managed to push her to the edge of the board, which gave me some chances, or I hope that I will manage to win this game. I will remind you that 50 moves should be made. 50 moves should be made in order to ask the arbiter for a draw for the weaker side. So I, as a stronger side, have 50 moves to prove otherwise, to try to find winning chances. Here she played king a3, and white is losing after this move. King c4. It's a good move. Getting to c5, threatening to give a checkmate. Unfortunately for me, I saw that king b5 is a nice idea, but I saw that it doesn't work because of very nice, again, stalemate from white, and it's a stalemate. So I thought that it doesn't work. I played king c5, and in this position I tried to get to the Philidor position, but in fact I was winning very easily by playing king b5 here with the bishop on c4. It's another story, and I can take with the bishop, and white has the b3 square. That's a huge difference between the position on d5 or c4 with this bishop, but I didn't manage to find it. Somehow made a few moves, waiting moves, and I was lucky that my opponent didn't just repeat the moves. She played king a5. Well, and here it's very easy to win, and I managed to do so. And there is no way to protect from checkmating except sacrificing the rook, but then I will manage. And that was the end of my Superfinal 2020. And with all the other games finished in a way that let me share the third place. And on tie breaks, the first tie breaks was the number of games with black. I played 6 games with black, and the second tie break was Berger. Anyway, somehow I managed to win bronze, although as you can see from the table on the chess.com, they're using another tie breaks. not the official ones, or at least they're showing another tie breaks. And on their tie breaks, I'm number 5. They're using burger tie breaks, but for all the players. But in fact, Alina Kashlinskaya and Leia Garifulina, they played 6 games with white, so they were not contenders really according to the official tie breaks. And only myself and Marina Guseva, we played 6 games with black, and so only our results, only our burger tie breaks counted. And somehow I got lucky, although it was quite an unexpected ending. Let me show you one final photo of mine. A happy ending photo. Happy ending photo, and yes, of course, I was quite happy. Quite happy to finish the tournament with a medal. We got also awarded, or not really awarded, but we finally got this gold medal for the online Olympiad that we played in August. You probably have heard of this Olympiad. So I was happy, very tired, but very happy. And for the open section, or as we say, old-fashioned way, men's Superfinal, Jan Nepomniachtchi won it with 7.5 out of 11. Sergei Karyakin lost this wonderful game against Daniil Dubov, and Vladimir Fedoseev and Daniil Dubov shared the 3rd place, but as you can see, half a point better tie breaks for Vladimir. No, I'm not gonna go over some games of the open section, because I have another tournament actually today, this afternoon, the online tournament, the European Club Cup online. I'm gonna play for my French team, Cliché Echec, and so I need to. I'm not gonna, of course, get ready for the games, but I need to just rest, because I've had a few very tense days after the Superfinal, with all the work, all the meetings, and so no puzzle rush, sorry, no playing. But I must say that after this European Club Cup is over, starting next week, I'm gonna try do daily streams on my channel at 10 p.m. Central European time every day. Well, I hope to do it from December 20, but in fact it seems that I will only be able to do it from December 23rd till the new year, because as you've probably heard, I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers. How many followers are right now on my channel? 9,366. Not as bad. So if you haven't followed yet, please press this button. I'm not sure if I will be capable of doing so before the new year, but it's nice to have a goal in mind, and it gives you some motivations. Very hard to move without any goals. So all the following will be greatly appreciated. And for today, I'm gonna end my stream, because, well, as I said, many things to do and an online tournament to play. Then I'm gonna try to stream on chess.com.ru some part of the bullet open bullet championship on chess.com. So we'll see if I manage. It's gonna be in Russian. And yes, I was happy to see you all. I hope that you enjoyed this review of the final part of my championship. I'm gonna do stream right now, and I hope to see you all real soon. Take care, play chess, and yeah, see you soon. Next week I'm gonna play with subscribers. I'm gonna do puzzle rush, so just pass by next week. Take care, bye.